Check, taste, testing, check.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh no, speaker. Okay, speakers are here.
Hello, hello. check, taste, check, check, taste, check, taste, check, taste, testing, check, check, taste,
Check, check, check.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a lovely evening here at the Madras Cricket Club, to the evening celebrating tennis legends who we have here in many numbers. So we are now, this evening, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary celebration of India reaching the Davis Cup final for the first time in the open era. And we have with us, and when they reach the final, it's interesting to know, we might have forgotten and some young ones here would not have been around that far back. but we did not lose the final. What we did is we took a principled stand, and led by the players who supported the country and the Prime Minister in that decision, they took a principled stand and defaulted to South Africa because of apartheid reasons. So let me welcome Mr. Vijay Amritraj and Anand Amritraj onto the And we also have with us, in addition to this remarkable feat of reaching the Davis Cup final, 13 years later, India was able to repeat the same amazing achievement, and the architects of that victory are also here, so which makes for the completed team of Davis Cup of 1987, which reached the final. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome on stage Ramesh Krishnan and S. Vasudevan. Come, Ramesh. Vasu, welcome. Come. There you are. So I request the champion by my side to take a seat, and we can get the evening going. So first off, let me welcome all of you to and let me set the stage for what this evening is all about. This evening is about sporting excellence. It's about the sporting spirit. It's about the history of our beautiful city, and it's also the history of Madras Cricket Club. It's all rolled into one because they're all so intertwined. Everybody here are members of Madras Cricket Club, members of the Davis Cup team, representing India and taking us to the global stage. So it just ties in so beautifully, and we thought we'll celebrate all these wonderful things in this historic venue that's our club. It's seen such brilliant sporting moments. So we thought that's a remarkable occasion to host a great celebration and to have all the champions here at the same time. But there are also many other champions that are in our midst who have represented India and have distinguished themselves in their in tennis, and they're also with us. And remarkably and unbelievably, all of them are MCC members who have represented the country and shown us in such a good light. So I'm going to now request the key supporters and the families that have developed and nurtured tennis in the city of Madras and have lifted these great champions to such great heights. I'm going to call on them. I'm going to name them first. We have the Sanmar family. We have N. Shankar, who's no more, is not with us today, but he was the past president of our club, past president of TNTA, so grew the association, amazing dedication to cricket and tennis. And we have his younger brother here, N. Kumar, also past president of Tamil Nadu Tennis Association, past president of Madras Cricket Club. We have with us R.S. Rajsekhar. His father was the founding president of the Tamil Nadu Tennis Association, in the 1950s, and Raj, as we call him affectionately, was an office bearer of TNTA himself and also a past president of Madras Cricket Club. So he's here with us. We have K.R. Ganapati. There is also a past office bearer of Tamil Nadu Tennis Association and past president of our club. We have Srinivasan Subramaniam, who represents his father, Ayya. I think Ayya accompanied the Davis Cup team. I think Ramesh, was it your year or 1966? Oh, okay. So he was the manager that accompanied this winning team. So we have them here. So now I'm going to call on the different champions who led India to great heights. I'm going to start with Somdev. Just please come and join us on stage. Somdev is, after these champions here, Somdev reached the highest levels of any male tennis player of India, and I think he's been the dominant force in Indian tennis in the last 30 years, reaching a career high of 50. I will ask N. Kumar to give him a memento to show our recognition for your special efforts for the country. Yeah. Come. Yeah, just face it. All the best.
Thank you so much to see you.
Hey,
Thanks, Ramesh. So good to see you. Please.
Then I'll call upon Lakshmi Mahadevan, also a champion, the Asian champion in 1964. Please, ma'am, please come. And I'll ask Raj to present her with a memento on behalf of Madras Cricket Club and an appreciation from the entire city for all your achievements. The next is last Pragnesh Guneshwaran, who is India #1, represented India in Davis Cup on many an occasion, also a member of Madras Cricket Club and a fine young boy. I will request Ganpa. Please come. Pragnesh, Ganpa, over here. Pragnesh. All the best. Okay, Pragnesh, all the best. Then we have Sai Jai Lakshmi, who represented India in Asian Games. Sai, come on over. I'll request TT Ashok as a supporter of. He's a fond of sport and he's a big historian of. Please. How appropriate. They see each other first thing in the morning and that's why the glow on their faces. Who's the next one? The next one. Okay, yeah. The last one. Then, we have fresh from Islamabad, the victorious Davis Cup tie. Ramkumar Ramanathan's father perhaps is here to represent him. So we will ask Mr. Vijay. That's okay. Please come. We'll ask Mr. Vijay Kumar, past president, to give him the award here. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, there. Yeah, yeah. Finally, we have Amrita Ahluwalia, young lady who I grew up with. And Amrita, and I think she's been the national champion in India for the longest time. I'll ask, ma'am, would you like to come present Amrita? I know you're very close to her. Both national champions of India, all from Madras, and I think dominated Indian tennis for a long time. Okay, I'm going to take a seat and just make it a little relaxed and casual. Uh, Before I hand the mic over to the champions by my side, I want to take the names of 4 people who are not with us here today. And I think the reason why we're all gathered here is that those 4 people had something in common. They believed. And that belief is what got transmitted to the champions over here and propelled them to the achievements and the stardom that they were able to achieve. And that's why we're all gathered here today to celebrate, their magnificent achievements. So first, I want to go back in time, perhaps to maybe 75 years ago. Just visualize a farming community in Tenkasi. And one gentleman over there dared to dream that something is possible in the era of international tennis. So he started to dream over there from the fields. And then he said, okay, now if I have to develop my young son and make him a champion, I have to take him to Madras. I have to take him to a big city. So he left his village behind, came to the big city in 1950, and the rest, as you know, is history. And from that gentleman, Mr. T.K. Ramanathan, his son Ramanathan Krishnan, who sends his best wishes, and we will hear from his son Ramesh, his sentiments that he wants to echo. So he believed. Just imagine India at that time, independence, no major achievement in the international stage, and he taking the risk, taking the adventure of coming out in the city and giving it his all, and to make and to take his son to such great heights, and his grandson, and a lot of great players, champions over here, I know have been coached by him and have taken tennis to a different level. I think parallelly, along the same time, perhaps the same train that Mr. Ramanathan took from Tenkasi to Madras, there was a young man, I think, courting a young lady, beautiful lady, perhaps in Madras, in the railways. His name is Robert Amritraj, and I think probably around that time, I think, right, 1948-50, they would have gotten married, I would assume. Okay, 49 they got married. So they also dared to dream, same Madras, but in a different circle altogether. And they believed that they could also produce champions. And here we are with the champions. So I think a great dedication to these souls. Ramanathan Krishnan he's here with us. He'll echo his message. Ramesh will pass it on. But I think we need to remember Robert and Maggie and Mr. Ramanathan for their belief, and I think that's what and that's why we are all here today. Having said that, I will now pass the mic on to someone who the less I say about him, the better, because I don't want to take time. It's better that he speaks, and everybody knows. I'm not even going to introduce him by saying his name. So there you go.
Thanks, Vivek. Mr. President, it's nice to call you Mr. President. It's something that Donald Trump is going after one more time. So I'll keep... I'm not comparing him to Donald Trump. I'm just saying You know. But on the court he is though. Every morning when I play with him, I feel like I'm up against the wall here. But Vivek, thank you so much. Thank you to all the members of the MCC for putting on this event for us. We are absolutely honored, privileged, and delighted to be a part of this evening. And it is such a special moment for all of us to be here together. Every time all of us get together, we talk a lot and eat more. And it helps us a lot to be here, especially in Chennai together. Irrespective of where we live, where we go, and what we do, and where we travel, and so on and so forth, this will always be home for us. And it's never changed, and it never will. This is home, and Chennai will always be home for us. I just want to also echo what Vivek has said, but also remember certain people whose shoulders we stood on and listened to and inspired by during the course of each of our lives. And I will start with a very, very dear and old friend of ours, who's no more obviously, Mr. Vijay Amritraj, who traveled with us as I was a junior. He was wonderful, kids are wonderful, and we truly miss him on days like this. Another very, very close and dear friend of ours is the wonderful Mr. P.L. Reddy, who was also very much a part of TNTA. He was manager of our Davis Cup team in '87 when we had that remarkable run to the final, which Ramesh will be talking to you about. And our first coach for Anand and me was Mr. T.A. Ramarao. And those of you who remember the T.A. Ramarao, he was wonderful. He looked great on his motorbike. He was kind enough to take me on after Anand was doing well as a junior and with my mother's insistence. So we can never, ever forget that moment when he put that racket into my hand at a very young age. And then, as they say, the rest is history. So these are people that we will always remember constantly, every time, even to this day, when we step on a tennis court. More than anything else, it is the people of this great city of Chennai that made it possible for us to reach certain heights that we never thought we would reach, to dream certain things that we never thought we could achieve, and to be able to put India on the global map from the 70s to today. And it takes us through a great memory lane of 50 years as to where we've come and how far we have come and what the youngsters are doing today. So we really are grateful to the city, to the state, and to the country for what they've given us over the period of time. So we're going to look back for a moment at 1974. So this is the 50th anniversary of us reaching the final in 74. It was a special year. It was 50 years ago. I was 20, Anand was 21, and the great Ramanathan Krishnan was captain. And the best part for me during that time was looking at Krish in the chair. When Krish was in the chair, we knew we could win. And I will mention the one other person that comes to mind as well was the wonderful Dr. S. Rajan, who traveled with Anand on the first trip. And the reason we all got into tennis in our family, because there was one line that Dr. Rajan said at the time, which meant so much to my parents. And it was to spend a certain amount of money to be able to have a special coach for Anand. And the line was Dr. Rajan saying this to my parents, that there are hundreds and hundreds of doctors, lawyers, and engineers coming out of the country, but there is only one Krishnan. So that is something that inspired also my parents at the time to be able for us to go see the 1962 Davis Cup match here when India played Mexico. And we were not allowed to get out of school for that one day. The principal wouldn't let us out, the three of us, so the next day all three of us fell sick. And we went to watch Krishnan and Ozuna playing here in Egmore. So it was a very special moment for us to do that. And of course, we got kicked out of school for about a week after that. But it was worth it. But to look back at the 74 run to the final, it was a very, very special year for us in a variety of ways, with Krish in the captain's chair. Anand, myself, Jasjeet and Sashi were on the team at the time, and I will drop it to Anand now to be able to take us through the 1974 run to the final.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is certainly a privilege and an honor to be here this evening. I'm so glad so many of you have come out to celebrate the 50th anniversary of our run to the Davis Cup final in 1974. But before I get started with that, I'd like to give a little background into how we got there and what followed soon after. And this is all entirely from my perspective, and 50 years later, you'll forgive me if I've forgotten a few of the facts. Well, let me start by echoing Vijay's sentiments on the man who put the first racket in my hand, Mr. T.A. Ramarao, right here at Island Grounds, when I was 8 and had no intention of playing tennis. Chess was more my game, but I was kind of pushed into it by my mother, basically, and Ramarao, and as I got better, I liked it more. And when I was 12, 13 years old, Dr. Rajan, who was then secretary of the Tamil Nadu Tennis Association, talked to my parents, letting him accompany me to Lucknow, Patna, places in the north which I had never been to play tennis in weather that was far too cold for me, but still went out there and I was 12 or 13, so it was an amazing experience for me. So thank you to both of them, and of course, as Vijay said, P.L. Reddy and all the others who are in M.E. Japarao, all the others who have helped shape the game here in Tamil Nadu and around the country. I joined the Davis Cup team in 1968 as a 16-year-old, and with the three great stars of Indian tennis, Ramanathan Krishnan, Jaideep Mukherjee, and Premjit Lal. I was happy and excited as anything to be on the team with the three greats. And all I did was be a water boy and practice partner for them, and carry the towels and the rackets, and every time I got a chance to hit with one of them, it was a great thrill. And this went through 1968, 1969, and occasionally I got to play a reverse singles match against Sri Lanka or Malaysia, whom, we were going to beat anyway. So, and in 1970, Vijay joined the team, and with the same situation, we got to play reverse singles, some doubles, just getting us used to the whole Davis Cup atmosphere and the feel of playing for your country, which is never easy. Also, best of 5-set matches with no tiebreakers in those days. So matches took forever. So that brought us up to 1917. 71 was a good year for me in particular, qualified for Wimbledon. And from 72 onwards, Vijay and I played singles and doubles in Wimbledon all the way through. So we were moving along nicely. End of 72 was the breakout year when in Calcutta at the South Club, Vijay won the national singles, we won the doubles, and my brother Ashok won the juniors. So it was a clean sweep by the Amritrajes. And of course, the proudest people were my parents, and we were all excited beyond belief. Then comes the year of 1973, where Ramanathan Krishnan was captain of the team, and Vijay and I, for the first time, were playing singles for the country. We got by our first round match fairly comfortably in Malaysia against Pakistan. We beat them, had a good run through the whole of April, and then we were supposed to play Australia here in Chennai. They put up a special 10,000 person stadium in Island Grounds of wood and bamboo, and it was in May. And the Australian team was one of the best ones they played, because they certainly didn't want to lose to us in the Eastern Zone final. So they brought John Newcomb, Mal Anderson, John Alexander, and I think the fourth was Colin Dibley, was it? Jeff Masters. All right, four, very, very good team, facing Vijay and me basically for singles and doubles. And the whole country was expecting us to even maybe not beat them, but certainly push them hard, make it a very close tie and interesting. And it turned out to be an epic disaster, beyond epic actually. And it was probably one of the worst 2 or 3 days of our lives. Came out to the stadium, and I was drawn to play Newcomb in the first match. And it was 105 degrees, for 40 degrees Celsius and 80-90% humidity. So we went out there, and after the first 3 games, for some odd reason, I pulled a muscle in my groin. That's the first and thankfully the last time that I ever got injured playing in a tennis match. So it was beyond belief, and it had to happen over here and in such a huge tie. Anyway, I was not allowed to default, so I walked up and down the court for an hour, just being aced left and right anyway. And the whole match was probably over in an hour. And then I got taken to the hospital, and Vijay had to go on and play Mal Anderson, who was also one of the Australian greats. And he goes there, and he's so upset at me being carried away that he couldn't play either. And that match finished in an hour and 15 minutes. So they had set aside 6 hours for these 2 singles, best of 5 set singles matches, and they ended in 2 hours and 15 minutes. So everybody had to go home. The doubles we lost. We got clobbered 3-love. Well, I didn't play, but we still, Sashi played with Vijay probably. Sashi Menon and Jazz Singh were the other 2 members of our team. Sashi played for USC in the United States. Very good player, top 100. And he was the 3rd or 4th member of the team. The other was Jasjit Singh from Delhi, who played for Notre Dame. Also a very good grass court player, big serve and volley. So they were 3rd and 4th members of our team, with, of course, Ramanathan Krishnan as captain. Anyway, we took a real beating that May, and hid in our house for about a month till we could quietly slink off to England to go play the tournaments before Wimbledon, which we did. And Vijay had great success that year, getting to the quarterfinals, losing a very close 5-set match to Cordes, which I'm sure he'll never forget. And, I won a couple of matches in the singles, and we did okay in the doubles. And that year was 73, and followed by the magical year of 1974, when we were both firmly playing singles and doubles, with, again, Krish as captain, and the same 2, Jazz Singh and Sashi Menon as the 3rd and 4th players of the team. And the first round in the Eastern Zone, actually it was semi-final Eastern Zone, we were drawn to play Japan. And we decided we were going to play all of our matches on grass, because both of us played well on grass, singles and doubles. And they came with a pretty good team. They didn't have Kamiwazumi, who was their number 1, but they had Sakai and they had Hirai, and a reasonably good team. So we went there, and both of us played well on the grass in Kanpur. And it was the middle of April, so it was pretty hot there. And we got past them 3-love. And amazingly, it would never happen nowadays. The following weekend, first week of May, we had to play Australia again. And this time, we decided to play them in Calcutta on the fast grass of the South Club, which I think was a good move. And they came with a brand new team, same captain, Neil Fraser, but they had John Alexander, great grass court player, a guy called Bob Giltonen, who played singles, Colin Dibley, one of the biggest servers in the game. Who was Jeff Masters again, probably? Yeah, and Jeff Masters, great doubles player. He and Ross Case won Wimbledon in the doubles later on. So we go out there, again, 100-degree weather and 90% humidity in Cal. But we were used to the grass. We were a little bit more experienced this year. Went out there. The first match, Vijay loses a 3-hour match to John Alexander in 2 long sets, one 14-12, one 19-17, whatever, ends losing. And that year, Jasjit played singles for us, which is a good idea, because the previous week I had played singles, and the captain Krishnan wanted to keep me for the doubles, because the doubles he knew was going to be critical. So I just stayed around for the doubles, and Jasjit Singh came through for us, beating Bob Giltonen in 4 sets, which was an amazing effort. So it was 1 hour at the end of the first day. Again, a long match with no tiebreakers, 12-10s and 11-9s all over the place. The next day, Vijay and I go out to play Dibley and Alexander with the doubles, 2 of the biggest servers, and the grass was so quick, you could not touch their first serves. It was the longest match in Davis Cup history of doubles, 6 hours. Scores were 17-15, 6-8, 19-17, 3-6, 6-4. Or something close to that. And the match lasted from 12 to 6 o'clock in the evening. And it was just absolutely brutal, but we managed to get through it, and that made all the difference, because Vijay beat Gilton the next day to get us into the to get us into the semi-final, which we went back to the States, played in the US Open, had a good run. Vijay got to the quarterfinal again. I won 3 matches in the singles. We did okay in the doubles. Came to Pune in September of 1974 for our big semi-final against Russia. Their number one was a player called Alexander Metrovelli, who the previous year had reached the final at Wimbledon, so a very, very good grass court player. And we knew that the chances are that he was going to win both the singles. So it was crucial for us that we win the doubles, and the second singles was a guy called Kakulia, who was good, and the doubles team was Metrovelli and Korotkov. So we went to Pune fully prepared and ready to take on the challenge. And the first day I lost to Metrovelli, Vijay beat Kakulia 1-all again. We scraped by them in the doubles in 4 sets. And in the final match, in the last match, actually it was 2-1, and I played Kakulia, was down 2-1, and came back to win in 5 sets, which put us in the final, one of the highlights of my life. And the thing that I remember most clearly, after having played for 5 hours on Saturday in the doubles and 4 hours on Sunday in singles, was that I was able to go out and party all night. They would party all night with all my friends and girlfriends and have a really good time. And if I tried that now, I wouldn't be able to walk for a week. So that's what 40, 50 years does to you. So anyway, it was a really good time. My parents were there. They were absolutely thrilled beyond belief that now we were in the Davis Cup final. And as I was telling Vijay just now, in the other semi-final was South Africa against Italy. And Italy did not want to travel to South Africa, to Johannesburg, to play them there again because of their apartheid policies, and requested the ITF for the match to be moved to Rome. Of course, the South Africans refused because they knew they had a much better chance at the 6,000-foot altitude in Ellis Park in Joburg. So the Italians either had to default or play in Johannesburg. So a week after we beat Russia, they played in Johannesburg, and amazingly, their top 2 guys, Ray Moore and Bob Hewitt, beat the team of Panatta, Bertolucci, and Barzotti 4-1 to get South Africa into the final, which was not such a good thing for us because we were strongly hoping that Italy would win, so there wouldn't be this whole apartheid problem hanging over our heads. But South Africa managed to pull it out, and now we were faced, and the Indian Federation and government were faced a decision as to what to do. And Vijay and I were concerned. We didn't know how it was going to go. And it was only a month later when we were playing the Stockholm indoors in Sweden that we heard that India had decided to, the Indian Federation, at that point I thought, had decided to default the final because they did not want to go to South Africa to play there because of their apartheid policies. So I had nobody to call. We had no cell phones in those days. So we went to the press area at the Stockholm indoors, and I managed to get R.K. Khanna on the phone. He was the secretary of the Indian Tennis Federation at the time. And I probably screamed at him for about 15, 20 minutes, telling him how big a mistake this was, that we did not get to play the final. And I told him that South Africa is not as good a team as either Australia or Russia. And I was sure Vijay would win both the singles, and we would win the doubles, and we'd probably win 4-1, was what I told him. And how could we pass up a chance like this? We would only be in the 5th nation to win the Davis Cup if we managed to play that match. I was totally convinced that we would, even in Ellis Park, which would have suited Vijay and me just fine because it was 6,000 feet up. And we'd always played well in Mexico City, which was 7,000 or 8,000 feet. So we had no problems with altitude. And so, I yelled and screamed as much as I could and said, this is not the right thing to do. We made a huge mistake, this and that, yelled at him. And finally, in closing, when he said, no, Anand, we've decided to default the match. Every time I said something and came up with a new argument, he'd tell me, Anand, we've decided to default the match. So, it was just like talking to a wall. So I told Vijay, and I told him, before I even talked to Vijay, that this is it, we're not going to play Davis Cup for India anymore. We said, that's it. if they can't play the final, why should we? We tried so hard against Japan, Australia, and Russia. So this is it for us. Later on, we found out that it was not the Indian Federation, but the Indian government who decided that we would not play the match. And then, of course, I kept my mouth shut. But having said that, one of the reasons why I was upset was because of the fact that when you get to win the Davis Cup or are a finalist, you are given a miniature of the huge rolling trophy that the Davis Cup itself. The 4 players on the teams get miniature trophies of the cup, and because we defaulted the final, we did not get our trophies. The South Africans got their trophies as winners. We did not get our trophies as runners-up, which we should have. We were entitled to it. We had played 3 difficult matches. We were due to get it, but ITF decided not to at that point. And I was upset about it for a long, long time, till in 2016, 42 years later, I was at a party in Wimbledon, and I ran into the president of the ITF, the current president, Francisco Ricci Bitti, and I went to him and explained the whole issue to him. And I told him, see, this is not fair. We did our bit. I know it's late, but, better late than never. I think you should definitely see what you can do. So he said, Anand, leave it to me. Let me see what I can do. And a month later, all 4 of us got our trophies from 74, which was very, very special to us, because by that time we'd got the ones from 87. So it was great. So that was one of the reasons, because I honestly thought that we would have won that match. And recently there was an article in a magazine in New York called Racket, where the reporter asked Vijay and me, what do you think 50 years later, was this the right call that the government made of defaulting that final? So Vijay, being the diplomat that he was, he said, well, it might not have been a tennis victory, but it was a human victory. So that was his take on it. Mine was, made the biggest mistake of your life. I doubled down on what I said 50 years ago and said, we would have gone there, we would have beaten those guys. Nothing better than beating an all-white team with 2 non-white players, and we would have taught them a lesson to beat them in their own home ground. That was my take on it. So I said, there's no way we should let them have the cup. And funnily enough, their top player, Ray Moore, is now the tournament director of Indian Wells, which is the biggest tournament aside from the slams. So I talked to him a week before I left, and I told him, Raymond, we're going to India. We're going to have the 50th anniversary celebration of our Davis Cup final. But I told him, I hope you hold on tight to that cup, because you should never have got it in the first place. So I told him, he said, Anand, only you would say that. So I said, yeah, you're right, because we would have beaten you 4-1. But anyways, having said all of that, we stayed on the Davis Cup team till 1987, 13 years later. We were very lucky to have Ramesh and Vasu on the team and get to the final one more time, which was the most wonderful effort, especially by Ramesh in Australia, and a very, very, very good effort. I came off the team in 1988, soon after that. And those 20 years at Davis Cup were the most wonderful and exciting years for me, my parents, my family, everybody that was involved with tennis in this city and state, which has helped all of us so much. It was the best 20 years of my life, and the highlight of it, of course, was getting to the 2 finals. So having said that, I will leave it to Ramesh to take it from there.
Thank you. Just to add to what Anand just said, there were 1 or 2 funny anecdotes from the Calcutta match when we played Australia. And we were 1 match all, and in the doubles, when it was going as long as it did, when we were into the 6th hour of the match, and we were 1-love up with a break of serve in the 5th set, Neil Fraser decided to take the 10-minute break. At something like 1-love 15:30 or something like that, right in the middle of the 2nd game. And so they walked off the court because Dibley was getting cramps. And the cramps was coming up his legs all the way to where it shouldn't be. And so they went into the locker room. Alexander and Dibley both serving really well, but Dibley got the cramps just by playing doubles. And so at that moment in time, Krish and I were sitting courtside, and Anand was the most relaxed. He was the most relaxed. He was talking to everybody in the stands. He was looking for some attractive people. Everything was happening, and Krish and I had our head down like this, and we were talking about the match, and just stay focused. We got to just hold serve all the way through for a 6-4 victory, and so on and so forth. And I think he took his second break at 5-4 when he served for the match. So when Anand served for the match at 5-4, Fraser took his second break, and he walked off the court. Now again, Krish and I have got our head down like this. Anand is talking to everybody. It's in the 6th hour of the match. And for us to go up 2-1, Anand had to serve out the match to hold on for a 2-1 lead. And needless to say, we did what we needed to do to stay focused. He needed to do what he did to be relaxed. And he held serve to love. So we won 6-4 in the 5th, which was an interesting encounter, just to add to what Anand was saying. But it was a special moment. The year 74 was a very, very special moment for us. It turned out the way it was. By the way, it wasn't Russia, it was Soviet Union at the time. And Alex Metrivelli was the leader of the pack. He got more and more upset with his doubles partner during the course of the entire match. We knew we were in the driver's seat. There was also 4 long sets in the doubles, if you remember. 24-22 first set. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Anyway, but it took us 13 years to get to the final again. And 13 years later, this was the team. The greatest thing about 13 years later, in 1987, including our manager, it is the only team that I can remember since independence in Davis Cup for India that all 4 players were from the same state. And it was truly awesome, because it certainly wasn't an easy run to that final by any stretch of imagination. But I'll let Ramesh pick it up from here and talk about our qualifying match in 86 October, and then through all of 87 and how we got to the final. But Ramesh, please don't talk about the final.
Thank you, Vijay. I have Vijay and Anand who are recollecting from 1974 with aplomb, and I have difficulty remembering what happened yesterday. So I think we spoke a little bit about Ramanathan Krishnan, and I had a chance to talk to him this morning, so I better get that off my chest first. He sends his greetings to all his friends here. He is watching this live on YouTube. I think Vivek was kind enough to send him a link this morning. He spoke about becoming a member here in 1956. And I think MVG Apparao's name was mentioned. MVG Apparao was instrumental in getting him into Madras Cricket Club here. Of course, he enjoys coming here very much. Even very recently, he's come to the new building. Vivek, he congratulates you very much for all the good work that's being done here, you and your committee. And even more recently, for the movie night, we had planned to come, the one about Sam Manekshaw. It was raining very heavily, and he decided not to come. But unfortunately, last few days, he's been a little under the weather, and he decided to stay out. So I'm here to convey his greetings and good wishes to all of you. It's lovely to see so many friends here who I see regularly. So thank you for coming out in such great numbers. Well done, Vivek, for organizing this. You're showing a different side to me, scaring me even more than what you normally do. And okay, so I'm supposed to recollect, and Vijay, you got to help me a little bit here. Okay, 1986. Did we play Russia or Soviet Union?
We played Russia.
Russia, okay. Russia, we played in 1986, we played Russia in Delhi, I remember that. What I remember most was Alexander Zverev was part of that team. And I think for those of who are following today, I think he's the father of Sasha Zverev, who's playing now. So we won without much excitement. So I think the more important thing to say was that Sasha Zverev's father was part of that team. And that was the first time that the 4 of us had got together as a team. That was the first match that Vasu joined us, and 86 September. So we won that match against Russia to qualify for the World Group of 1987. 1987, we played the first match, Argentina. Okay, Argentina. Now we're going to Argentina. No, we're not going to Argentina. Argentina traveled to Delhi to play us there. And that was one of the most topsy-turvy ties I'd been a part of. Vijay won his first match against Horacio de la Peña. And in the second match, I played Martin Haiti, their top player. I was up 6-1, 5-love, and somehow managed to lose that match. I think you remember that, Vijay?
Unfortunately, I do.
Okay. So I think that was one of the toughest losses I've had. 1-1 at the end of the day one, and then we were down, lost the doubles, so we were down 1-2. First match on the third day, Vijay is playing Martin Haiti, and Vijay was down 2 sets, down a break in the third, down a match point in the fourth, fought back wonderfully well, and gave me a chance to redeem myself. So, well done, Vijay. I think that was one of your good Davis Cup matches that I've seen. And it gave me a chance to play De La Peña in the fifth match. One of the incidents that come back to my mind was that Vijay, as I was warming up, we were warming up to serve for the match, and Vijay was saying, no, make sure you don't serve to Horacio de la Peña. I think as it turned out, I think I could see that the adrenaline was still pumping and the mind was sharp. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I did get through that match, the Horacio de la Peña match, won a fifth match in Davis Cup for the first time. And what was more important was it put away the heartbreak from 2 days ago. I think I forgot about that until right now. And also it helped me. I had played a fifth match in later that year in Sydney, and then couple later in '93. So I think that experience helped me moving forward, which put us into the next match against Israel, which we played in July, and again in DLTA courts. The Delhi match was important because Israel, those days we did not have diplomatic relations. And I think there was more excitement off the courts than on the courts. What I do remember from the game was that there were more security people watching the games than the players, the spectators or the players. So it was played in that kind of an atmosphere, but we were happy to get a chance to play Israel. We did beat them again comfortably. And the thing was, it was July in Delhi and the rain set in on the last day when Vasu was playing the reverse singles. I think if the rain had come 1 or 2 days before, I think the tie would have been washed out and postponed. So I think the weather was the redeeming factor there. So here we were in September traveling to Australia. You want to say something?
No, just to add to the Israel match, just to add that one point, because we had no full diplomatic ties with Israel at the time. And the memories of '74 came back of not playing the match. And at that point in time, we had actually decided to default the match as well to Israel. And so I was away, and I came back to Delhi to sit down with our then Prime Minister for 60 minutes and convinced him across the table that it was time to play this match because we had signed on to play Davis Cup all the way to the very end as long as we were winning. And I knew I was making some headway with him because he kept talking about policy and I kept talking about trying to win the match. And finally, as I was getting ready to leave, he said, what are the chances of winning? I said, not very good. They're better than us, but we're at least playing in Delhi in the summer. So it was one of those matches which we agreed. We had tight security around us 24/7. We took different routes to the matches every day. They had snipers on the rooftop of buildings before in front of Africa Avenue. The Israeli team actually found it hard to find a hotel to put them up. No hotel would want to put them up. And so we finally managed to get a friend of ours who owned a hotel to give us 4 floors. They came with 40 Mossad agents at the time. They had incredibly tight security. And I think I was fairly confident under the circumstances that Ramesh and I were playing singles, that we were pretty much in the driver's seat. But the opening match, I ended up beating Amos Mansdorf, and then I think they started to fall apart. But the good news was, the best part of that came out of that match was the fact that they wanted to go see the Taj Mahal. And at that time, I mentioned that, listen, Shlomo Glickstein was their captain. And I said, listen, if I were you, I'd leave right away as soon as you can. And they said we probably won't come back, and we go see the Taj Mahal. So went back to the PM. He was kind enough to say, put them in a convoy and send them to see the Taj Mahal. Send them on a 4.5 hour car ride to visit the Taj Mahal. 72 hours later, following week, we were actually applauded by the UN. And then 5 years later, Shimon Peres visited India, and we had full diplomatic ties with Israel. And Prime Minister Modi became our first Prime Minister to go to Israel. So I think a lot came out of that match, and made me believe once again that tennis or sport can bring countries together rather than keeping them apart. Sorry, Ramesh.
No, anyway, postscript to that, again, 1988, the following year we drew Israel, and we were all getting ready to travel to Israel to play. But at that point in time, the government in India said that we are not participating in that match. I think there was some incident in the West Bank which just flared up. So that story doesn't end with 87. In 88, again, we defaulted to Israel, and that is when, I think that was the last time that you both were playing members of the Davis Cup team. Of course, the semi-final victory over Australia was always be special in my mind, for the simple reason that some of the Australians had played an important role in my tennis career. Harry Hopman, Fred Stolley, Roy Emerson, with whom we both had worked. And Australia was one of the tough customers in Davis Cup, especially to play them in Australia was not very easy. Again, we showed up in Sydney, we played well. I think, Vijay, I would say that was the last hurrah for you in Davis Cup. You did beat Wally Masoor, and I think your back was done at the end of the match. And no, we were lucky to scrape through and get through to the final once again in 1987. So that was certainly exciting to reminisce. And by the orders of my captain, Vijay Amritraj, I'm not allowed to speak about the Davis Cup final. So all I can say is that we were there, we played it, and it's not whether we won or lost, but how we played the game. So I think with that, I'll sign off, and thank you. Thank you, Vivek. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you, Captain.
Well done,
Good seeing you
Ramesh.
again.
Well done, Ramesh. Good job. So he just kind of skirted over the Australia match, which was, they hadn't lost in Australia in 50 years in a home match. And we were going there, and only Ramesh, I think, was ranked 48 or 45 or something at that time. And Anand and I were not ranked at all because we didn't have enough tournaments on the tour. And those guys had Cash, who had just won Wimbledon in 87, and Fitzgerald, who had won the doubles with Anders Jarrett. So they had a singles champion and a doubles champion on the team. Neil Fraser was still captain, believe it or not. And there were 10,000 Aussies there cheering, obviously, for them. But, you know, I figured before that match, the best way to put some pressure on them was to start talking from Los Angeles and telling the Aussies in the papers and on television that we had no chance. We had no chance. Every day I told them we had no chance. We're coming there because Australia is lovely, Sydney is a beautiful city, we're staying at a good hotel, there's an Indian restaurant across the street, they're very friendly, we have great ties with Australia. I kept putting more and more pressure on them, and only the 4 players knew that we could actually play on grass. The rest of the country didn't think we had a chance. So even when we went to Sydney and we found a hotel of our choice to stay, the GM was a friend of mine, we got into the right place. There was an Indian restaurant not far away across the street. And the interesting thing was every paper and every television crew only said, so what do you think Australia's chances are in the final against Sweden? We haven't started the match yet. And so I said we got to them in the right way because we actually kept telling them we have no chance. We have no chance. We have no chance. And finally, and Ramesh was playing really well. I was really good for one match. I knew it. And we had to pull ourselves together as a team, as a real team. It was a David Goliath story, truly, to be honest. And at the end of the day, the opening day, we got ahead 2-love. We got down the doubles 2-1. I lost to Fitzgerald in the Fitzgerald, I think it was, Fitzgerald in the 3rd day, and I knew it was going to get down to the 5th match, even being 2-love up. And we got into the 5th match, and the thing about Ramesh is, when he gets slightly tight or slightly nervous, he doesn't speak very much. So maybe 3 or 4 words a day was a lot. But he was timing the ball just perfectly. And in my book, there was no way he was going to lose that 5th match. Completely not at all. And sitting in the captain's chair, I felt really, really solid that he was going to be the one playing the 5th match for us. And so when that match started itself, there was no question he was tied. But Fraser, who was sitting in the captain's chair on the other side, kept telling the umpire that, Vijay shouldn't be talking to him, you shouldn't be talking to him when he's on the court, you shouldn't be doing this. And the umpire was supposed to be neutral, and the crowd was really kind of getting on the umpire as well at the time in that 5th match, as you can well imagine, because they never expected to get down to the 5th match. And at the end of the day, I managed to get into Fraser's head as well. And our dear friend Ramesh, every time he had to do something, he did it right. And it was in that 5th match that we were able to tell the story in the belief of having a team that perhaps ranking-wise was not good enough, but as a team, we were better than them. Anyways, Ramesh said we got to the final, and whatever happened, happened. The Swedes are terrific. The hospitality was wonderful, except for those few hours we had on the court. What can I say? We did the best we could. I actually begged the Swedish captain not to play us on clay. I begged him, don't play us on clay. At least it'll be a good match for the audience. He wouldn't take that for an answer. He said he knew what we did in Australia, so he wasn't going to take a chance. But it was a very special moment for us to be back in the Davis Cup final. And the best part of it was Krish was captain when we played in '74, and Ramesh was on my team when we played in '87. And generations may pass. When Krish was captain, I played for him. When I was captain, Ramesh played for me. When Ramesh was captain, my son Prakash played for him. So it is 4 generations of tennis, and all from this part of the country. So it is very, very special. I want to get Vasu's view also for a moment on what it is to be part of a team that can actually pull together, and how we pull together, and to be able to get to a final. It's been a while, but it was a real delight and a pleasure to have Vasu on the team with us. A lot of stories I can tell about Vasu's matches. I won't say it now, but I will. I've often begged him to go to the net. But he was unbelievable from the back of the court, didn't miss a ball. Just, he had to be beaten. He was not going to lose a match. But Vasu, your thoughts on being on the team in '87?
Yeah, when I got my call to play in 86, I had played one match, one Davis Cup match in '83. Thanks to Ramesh, he didn't play. I don't know for some reason, so I was in the team. We played in Sri Lanka, and then in '86 again against Russia. It was just an absolute thrill, and really enjoy playing with 3 of the greatest personalities. I grew up here in Chennai, and they're icons, and they're top tennis players and great personalities as well. So I was thrilled to the moon. Just being in the team, learning from them. How they were playing, and again, like I said, great personalities. So it was really. I was sort of doing everything that I was asked to do, and I was very, very happy doing that.
Great, Vasu. Thank you. As we all know, Davis Cup is a very special event. It has always been very much more special to our part of the world than it has been to certain places in the West, especially in the Americas. And I think when we look at Davis Cup, it is absolutely vital that if someone is good enough to play Davis Cup or Fed Cup, that you play. And it's a privilege and an honor to be able to represent the country, to have the tricolor flown, to have the anthem sung. These are special moments in our lives that make us feel privileged to have played this sport at a high level for such a long duration of time. And I think the important part here that we never forget is that we stood on the shoulders of such great people as his dad, his grandfather, my parents, T. Ramarao, M.V. Japparao, Dr. Rajan, and a whole slew of others, many of whom have been members here in this club and given us the opportunity and backed us all the way through and supported us through thick and thin, and to give us the belief in ourselves that we can actually perform for the country. So it has been a special privilege, as the great Billie Jean King always said, pressure is a privilege, and every challenge is an opportunity. And I believe that that's what Davis Cup gave us. My very first Davis Cup match was against Sri Lanka, believe it or not, and then I would end up marrying a Sri Lankan at the very end of it all. So there was one moment when we went down to Sri Lanka to play a Davis Cup match against Sri Lanka, and my father-in-law was very nervous that we were going to lose to them. So I said, Uncle, no, we can't lose to them. He said, no, but they are a good team, you shouldn't eat too much chicken tonight, you shouldn't eat this thing, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. And I said, no, I think we'll be okay. We should be able to beat Sri Lanka. And I think it finally made him feel comfortable, because only then he gave me a glass of wine. I said that even with one hand behind our back, we should be able to get by Sri Lanka at the time. But it was really a special privilege to have been able to play for such a long period of time. Baba, you had something to say about Vasu's match?
This was not Vasu's match. This was a special, one of my favorite stories about Vasu and me playing doubles together, which we did on a few occasions in a tournament. And Vasu, I don't know if you want to tell the story. This should be pretty good. Well, first of all, this is my jacket from the 1987 Davis Cup final. My most favorite jacket. I keep it, I use it on special occasions such as this one. And just thrilled to be here, as I said. And Vasu and I were playing a tournament in Nairobi in Kenya in doubles. It wasn't a very big one. We were playing there, and we both, looking at the draw, we realized that there's only one team in this tournament that could really beat us. We were in pretty good shape, and Vasu served big. Nairobi is 3,000 feet up in the air, and so we thought we'd have a pretty good chance winning it. Only one team, and the boys were from California, and they used the hand signals like the players do nowadays, except the fact is that it was much simpler in those days. It was either a closed hand or an open hand. Closed you stayed, open hand you crossed, and that was it. So I looked at these two guys, very good college players, just come on the pro tour, Lloyd Bourne and Jeff Clapada. And we got there, and I told my wife at the time, who had no idea what tennis was or hand signals were, I told her, sweetie, come over here. In the first two matches they played, I said, watch these two guys, okay? So we're going to play them in the semis, and if there's a closed fist behind, don't do anything. If there's an open fist, just go like this with your hair, okay? So in the semi-final, when we played them, every time they got an open fist, she was carrying my 3-year-old son around. She used to stand this side of the court, then she went to the other side of the court. And every time they had an open fist, she used to go like this with her, and Vasu and I both went down the line. So before they realized what was happening, we were up 6-3, 4-love. So that was the end of it. And we got through the tournament quite comfortably, won it hands down in the final. So that was, and he and I played doubles together so many times. Played with Ramesh several times in doubles. We had a lot of good fun together. We played in Italy a few times. Ramesh, once at least. Huh? And Vijay and I, of course, innumerable number of times. So anyway, thank you all. I'll give it back to Vijay.
Just a big thank you to our president, Vivek Reddy. Thank you, Vivek, for what you do, not just here at the MCC, but on a general basis for the game itself. And it's a real privilege to know you not just as the president of NCC, but as a good friend and a tremendous hitting partner for me. So Vivek, I can't thank you enough for doing this. To each and every one of you who've taken time out on a Monday evening to come and spend with us, grateful thanks from all of us here to each and every one of you, to this wonderful, magnificent facility, this great club, not just a cricket stadium, but the tennis here and all of the social atmosphere that this club provides for each and every one of you. And for us, when we come into town, it's a real gratefulness from each and every one of us to each and every one of you. So thank you again, and have a wonderful 2024. God bless.
Do you want to introduce him?
Yeah, I'll do that. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'll call upon Ram Kumar to come on over here and receive. I'll ask Mrs. Hema Patsadi, Pachu, yeah, and Rohini. Can you both come here and? Yeah. He just finished the victorious Davis Cup tie against Pakistan. He was instrumental in India beating Pakistan. Well done. Well done, Ram. All the way back.
He was down a set and 3-4, 15-40 and managed to pull out that first big match. Well done, Ram.
Well done, Ram. Fighting spirit. Come, Ram. Yes, give it to Mrs. V.K. Patsadi, Pachu, as he is affectionately known, a great supporter of tennis, lover of tennis, played with Mr. Ramanathan Krishnan and, a lover of sport all his life.
They traveled to Pakistan together. I think they played doubles in Pakistan.
Oh, I see. Pachu and Dad played doubles. Pachu represented in Davis Cup.
In Davis Cup. They played some tournaments there.
Okay, lovely. Now, I think the story of, just take it. I think the story of India and Davis Cup, when we look at them, I think the story that we heard today is that I think there's a special feeling that they had, that these champions had when playing for the country. Each journey in 1966, when Ramesh's dad and Premjit Lal and Jaideep Mukherjee, and one very special mention to one of our strongest members and an amazing champion almost to their caliber, Mr. Rabi Venkateshan. In touch with him, he sends his best regards to all of us over here. As all of us know, he is here almost on a daily basis. Couldn't be here today, but he was the member of the Davis Cup team in 1965 and 1966. And actually, that was the first time that India got to the final in the, did they call it, in the challenge round thing in 1966. Ramanathan Krishnan was the lead player, and but Rabi was a member of that team. So remembering him fondly, we have a memento for him, but we will hand it over to him at a later time. So I think that's one of the big stories of today, is that realizing that a special feeling for the country each time when we got to the final. I think we were underdogs and on form as per our rankings, we were not supposed to be in the final. But I think there's some special quality, some special feeling for Madras, Tamil Nadu, India that propelled these champions to great heights and created great upsets. So before I call upon my colleagues in the committee to recognize, and it's just not words that we want to leave these champions with, we are going to give a memento. I do want to say that while just to keep them humble and to ground them to reality, I think I have one particular achievement that none of these champions have in tennis. I think for the last 6 decades or so, I realized that I've been pummeled and thrashed by so many players out here that none of these players have ever achieved on the tennis court.
But you have not been in this world for 6 decades. You're too young for that.
No, right from 1972, 73 in Yerkard, those misty mountains of Yerkard, I think Ramesh, I hold the record, I think, for the shortest tennis match ever played. We got on court, Ramesh and me. I think it didn't reach double digits. They played the longest doubles match, right? There's the shortest singles match ever played, probably less than 10 minutes. I would say that I got a game, and Ramesh being kind of friend, he'll agree, but probably I barely got a few points. And I think subsequently I played with Mrs. Lakshmi Mahadevan, I played with Amrita. I've lost to a lot of players here, which I don't think any of you can claim.
No, but then you've beaten all of us.
So anyway, I'll request the Vice President of Madras Cricket Club, Mr. Karthik Rajsekar, to come and join us, and Mr. Niranjan Mudliar, the Secretary of our club, and Akbar Ibrahim, the Treasurer, and Dhananjay Das as the past President. He steers our club as a past President. Come. Huh? What? Yeah. Give it to Vijay, the oldest. Yeah. Give it to I request Karthik to give a memento to Vijay. Would you like to read it, Vijay? Just one memento.
I mean, seriously. When you put me on the spot, why don't you read it? Patatane terli. Okay. The lead singles and doubles fly Indian Davis Cup team 1974. 50th anniversary of India reaching the Davis Cup final, defaulting to apartheid South Africa. Madras Cricket Club, February 2024. Thank you.
I'll ask Niranjan to give a memento to. Akbar to Anand, please. Akbar, go ahead. Yeah. No, the same thing. Yeah. Niranjan, we can hand it over to Ramesh. Okay. I'll just stick around. Dana, give it to Vasu. Karthik, come back and.
Dana, please wait here for the photo. Come.
What's the time?
Come.
Okay, got it.
Come. Give us the casual. You'll be in the middle.
There we go. That's it. There we go. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Vivek is known for his timing.
Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, dinner served. If we can just stand for a few minutes, I think as a sign of respect for their patriotism, we're going to have the national anthem. Is that? After. Okay, I think we'll stand.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Come, Vivek.
Great job, partner. Great job. Congratulations. Come on, Ram.
Champs, not champs. Not real, only champs.
Hi Bala, good to see you.
Ramesh. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Vivek. Come on. Hi, Kumar. Good to see you. Good to see you. Kumar, was your biggest
I will mention it, don't worry. At the appropriate time.
Thank you. Good luck. Anand. Oh, yes.
Boss, boss, thank you, boss. Like,
Holding my hand.
Okay, fathers. You just take it.
He's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, dinner served in the pavilion. Please partake, and the champions will be here. You can take photographs and feast and have a good time. Thank you for coming. Well done, Kumran. Thank you. Victory too good. I have to thank our sponsor for the evening, Unify, and and Sharat and Reina and the team of Dinesh and Jawar, the whole sound and lighting system that they did beautifully. Thank you to the Unify team for hosting such a lovely event.
You did well.
Thank you.
amazing evening, Pat.
Hey, can you get some white wine for Vijay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Partner.
Get some white wine for him. You've been. Mukund also, sir. Mukund came and please, beside.